Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay, so everyone here? लोग ऑनलाइन में हैं. Okay, so good afternoon. Good afternoon, Sarvesh, Shamashri, Yashu. Good afternoon, Nalini.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Can you people have your screens on? I would like to see you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Just a second.
Nalini, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
You are on mute.
Am I audible?
I can't hear you. Yashu, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm here. I'm here, ma'am.
Huh?
Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, ma'am? Hello, hello.
Harini, can you unmute and say something? We're just checking the sound.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yashuk, can you help us check the sound?
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah.
Hello.
Sure. Anyway, so anyone got your verbal books?
Mom, can you hear me now?
Volume 4. I put in a reminder to get volume 4. Question 20 तक किया किसी ने? How much could you do? All? Yeah. You done? Okay. Anyone who's done the assignment can please raise your hand. Second question. 5 not 4. So, how many have you done? Huh? How many questions did you do from? You got your book? बच्चों की आवाज नहीं आ रही है. How many questions did you do? Forgot to do. Forgot to do.
No, I didn't. I didn't do
You didn't do only purposely. He forgot.
purposely.
क्यों?
I didn't knew that we had to do it.
Last time class में थे ना online थे. Absent था.
Yes. That's what I got. Right.
कहाँ? Where were you?
I was in Korea. I had an MBA.
कितने दिनों के लिए MUN था? How many days did you have MUN?
2 days.
And then the whole week?
Yeah, I had to.
हाँ? कहाँ में बहुत सारे होते? हाँ? Okay, Harini, Varshit, can you help us check the sound?
Mom, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Harini, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but am I audible?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, ma'am?
Just a moment, just give it a second. Okay, by the time we will check the
वीडियो ऑन करो सब लोग.
yeah. Yes, Harini?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Varshit?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, thank
वीडियो
you.
ऑन करो सब लोग. वर्षित. Anushree, Soha, Sarvesh.
Are you all having a problem with your videos? With a man, you can just stop your entry if you don't have your video.
Ma'am, actually, network issue here, but I'll try my best to turn my video on.
Okay, anyone with any, okay, first of all, who has done questions questions 5 to 25 नहीं 4 and then 6 onwards to 20. Anyone done? Anyone has any doubts? Varshit, Anushree?
No, ma'am.
Varshit, not done? Huh? Varshit,
Yes, ma'am.
have you done the exercise?
Yes, ma'am. I have done. I have no doubts.
No doubts.
Yes.
Anushree?
No, ma'am, no doubt.
No doubts. Have you done the questions?
Yeah, like not the last few questions I think I have not done yet, but yeah, till whatever I have done, no doubt till that.
How many have you done? And if you have done, there should be some doubt somewhere. ऐसे हो सकता है कुछ भी नहीं है. How many did you do? Didn't do at all. Very good. Okay, anyway, just get
Ma'am, I
doubts.
have doubts. Ma'am, I have doubts.
Okay, we'll come up with your doubts. Okay, question number 7. This one, no? Okay, everyone can see the screen?
Yeah.
Question is up there. Okay, what's your problem? Reasoning क्या था? Questions will be right.
The answers pretty good.
So when we look at these questions, एक तो let me tell you, you won't get a perfect fit answer all the time, right? You go by the process of elimination. This doesn't fit at all. Another one is way out. Another one is half okay. Whatever is left, your answer. May not be a perfect fit, but somehow it relates, right? That relates. So if you look at this question, by calling for exempting unionized business from the minimum wage, unions are creating more incentives for employers to favor unionized workers over non-unionized staff. So what do you get from the first line? That the unions are calling for exempting the businesses from minimum wage. You shouldn't go with the minimum wage इतना देना ही है. ऐसा नहीं करेंगे. So because of that, what is happening? It is leading to the employers favoring the workers who are attached to the unions. Maybe the others will say. So the workers who are attached to the unions are getting favored by the employers, right? Because the union is saying no minimum wages. We will decide what the workers will get, right? Okay. And the workers who are not attached to the unions, they are not getting those benefits or whatever. Such exemptions strengthen their power. Whose power? Unions power. Yeah. And you have a blank over here. Then, once employers are obliged to pay the same minimum wage to both unionized and non-unionized labor, workers often see less reason to pay the dues to join a union. Right? So, what do you mean by that? If all the workers get the same minimum wage anyway, and the union is not fighting for you to get the minimum wage, then why will the workers join the union? Because for joining the union also they have to pay something. So no point in joining the union. So now something is missing in the between. So the first part is saying that the workers who are attached to the union will get minimum wage, and there's a disparity between those who are attached to the union and not attached to the union. Second class says that if the employers are anyway or obliged to giving the same pay to all, then the unions will be redundant. No one will join. So now keeping that in mind, such unions strengthen their power, and A says high rates of realization make minimum wage unnecessary as collaborative wage. Does it make? Is that our answer? If you look at the rest, the second part, it is leading us to the same pay. So this cannot be a connecting sentence, right? B says workers who have no real alternative to employment in the unregulated shadows of the labor market are even more vulnerable to exploitation and abuse than workers with legal right to take low wages. So this is more somehow related, but what is the main point in the passage? It is about the workers related to the union, not related to the union. This is not taking into account that. So can be eliminated. If you look at C, the labor ethics of workers' solidarity seemed hollow if non-union workers are underpriced by union workers and left unemployed or scrambling for unauthorized work. So it's talking about unauthorized work, and the non-union workers are being overpriced. Are we talking about non-union workers being overpriced, or the condition that they should also get the minimum wage? Minimum wage. So C also doesn't fit in. Now we are left with D. This is useful because for all the effort unions throw at raising minimum wage, laws for better pay have an awkward habit of undermining union club. So this is talking about what the unions are doing. What are the unions doing? They are fighting for minimum wages, right? So now it makes sense. So the workers related to the union will be getting minimum wage, others won't.
But what is an awkward habit of undermining union cloud? What is this cloud?
Union cloud is like the power of the union, influence of the union. Right? So this is useful because for all effort unions throw at raising the minimum wage, laws for better pay have an awkward habit of undermining union clubs. So now the unions are fighting for better wages, and because of that, laws are passed to ensure minimum wages or raising minimum wages. But when the laws are passed, they won't recognize that the unions did fight for this, right? So that's what it means. So if you look at all the options, the other option don't take into account the unions or the influence of the unions to maintain minimum wages, right? Okay. Any other? So which
Ma'am,
question?
11.
11.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
paragraph completion is the most important of verbal ability, right?
Huh?
Paragraph completion is the most important part of the section.
It is one of the important parts. All of them are important.
But we get maximum questions from
5 questions.
5
From paragraph completion, 5 questions from
sentence.
From paragraph jumble.
Paragraph.
Parajumble 5, this 5, 10 questions or maybe 15 questions from comprehension. Grammar related 5. Fill in the blanks, vocabulary related 5. All of them are equally important. You can't say that this is one of the difficult ones, so it needs more practice. Grammar may also needs practice, but yeah, you know the grammar rules, you can do it. This, you have to work on your understanding and your analytical thinking. Okay, question number 11, let's see. Okay. So, this was a little weird passage, right? Okay, it says, everyone can see? The time traveler, for so it will be convenient to speak of him, was expounding a recondite matter to us. What do you mean by recondite? Have you looked up the meaning? Right? Recondite means
Something about which that less known.
yeah, less known, something that is mysterious or obscure. Yeah, people don't know much about it. So he was expounding a recondite matter to us. That is, he was sort of speaking about something which is we didn't know. Okay, his grey eyes shone and twinkled, and his usually pale face was flushed and animated. So they're describing how he was speaking. The fire burned brightly, and the soft radiance of the incandescent lights in the lilies of silver caught the bubbles that flashed and passed in our glasses. So it's all a description of the atmosphere and how things work. Our chairs, being his patents, embraced and caressed us rather than submitted to be sat upon. So rather archaic language used. So like something that would be used, say, in the Shakespearean language, or say William Wordsworth would be using that sort of language. Not contemporary. Anyway, so our chairs were like belonged to him, and we were just sitting on them. And there was that luxurious after-dinner atmosphere when thought roams gracefully free of the trammels of precision. Yeah, so it is not like thoughts are free and we are not looking for something related to precision or something. So now we are looking for a sentence which probably will continue with it or conclude it. Right? It says, and slowly and steadily the atmosphere grew stale and lost all the vibrancy it had. That's completely contrast. So we won't go with contrast. And he put it to us in this way, marking the points with a lean forefinger as we sat and lazily admired his earnest over this new paradox and his fecundity. Now that is a little obscure. It's again talking about what he did with a lean forefinger as we sat and lazily admired his earnestness. Now, was it talking about earnestness anyway? Or rather, he was talking about something which he knew nobody knew about. Right? So this doesn't really fit in as such, but we can still do it. We look at the others. We sat like toddlers do in a nursery, eagerly anticipating the show the time traveler would put on for us. So is it talking about they are waiting for some show, or they're just listening to him talk? They're just listening to him talk. There's no reference to any show coming up. And he said, we sat benumbed by the proceedings, for the radiance of the time traveler was unimaginable and unbearable. Now this, if you see, does relate to the rest of the passage. So they were benumbed by the proceedings, so like they were like stunned by what was going on. Yeah? for the radiance of the time traveler. So here it talks about the fire burn and the soft radiance of the lights. So,
Ma'am,
and yeah,
but in the comprehension, ma'am, uh, ma'am, they are talking about the radiance of the environment, the radiance of the
radiance
incandescent
of the
lights.
environment. So we
In
can now, if we see his eyes, gray eyes shone, twinkled, and his pale face was flushed and animated. So he was full of energy. So we see when we talk about these authors, they usually don't state anything in plain black and white. Yeah, it's always like poetic imagination to the way they describe things. So, you can say there's an analogy. So the radius that they were talking about, here there's an analogy to the time travel, right? So if you look at the context as such, T is the one that best fits in. So
Ma'am, but
it's
why
T.
can't B be the answer, ma'am?
So if
Ma'am,
you look at
like you
T,
said, ma'am, the
yeah,
sentence B, ma'am, it carries forward the para, ma'am, like what he could have done next. Like he's explaining it
yeah, he
by
is
marking the points with his
explaining something
reinforced
now.
fingers.
Now, is that what we are really looking for? Because if you look at the previous line, our chairs being his patron's embrace and caress are the submitted standard upon. There was that luxurious after dinner atmosphere. Yeah. So the whole thing is talking about the atmosphere. So what continues should be related to the atmosphere and what the people are feeling. So when they say our chairs being his patrons embraced and caressed us means we were overcome by what he was saying, right? So if we were to choose between B and D, B would be rather like what if the passage has had described what he was saying, that could be a continuation. But the passage
Okay.
nowhere has described what he was saying. It's just describing the way he was saying and what the people felt. So
Okay, ma'am.
according to
So
that,
in general, it is describing the environment, so that's why we are
yeah,
going with D.
that's why we will go with it,
Okay,
right?
understood.
So when we talk about the radiance of the time traveler was unimaginable, unbearable, and we sat benumbed by the proceedings. So we sat benumbed follows from that our chairs being experienced, embraced and caressed us rather than submitted to be sat upon. Means we were not in control, right?
Understood.
So I think D would follow better than B. B is not an absolutely wrong answer, but it would be more if the passage would be talking about what he was saying. But
Okay.
it's not talking about that. Okay, any
Ma'am,
other?
12th is also down. 12th.
Which one? 12th one.
12th.
12th. So 12 says, let us understand the definition of metaphysics, a purely speculative science. So what is metaphysics? A purely speculative. So we have to look for the clues, yeah? Which occupies a completely isolated position and is entirely independent of the teachings of experience. It is independent of teachings of experience. That's what metaphysics is. It deals with mere conceptions, not like mathematics, with conceptions applied to intuition, and in it, reason is the pupil of itself alone. It is the oldest of the sciences, right? So far, so good. So it has described metaphysics, what metaphysics is, or the nature of metaphysics. Now, if we come to the options, we need a concluding sentence. and it will struggle to survive without the architecture of mathematical support. Now we've already said it is not like mathematics, so would it require mathematical support? And it draws its strength from, does it draw its strength from mathematics? No, right? So in fact it has said it deals with mere conceptions, not like mathematics. So it is nowhere near mathematics. If you look at B, yet it continued to baffle mankind because of its abstractions. Now, we can say it has abstractions because it is speculative, it depends upon independent teachings of it is independent of the teachings of experience, it has to do with intuition, right? So abstractions could be talked about, but it says yet it continued to baffle mankind. Now baffle mankind, how did it baffle mankind? Does the passage have any reference to baffling mankind anywhere? Does it say anywhere that people were quite confused with it? Not really. But yes, abstractions we can say.
Ma'am,
Now
but
if
if
you
we,
see,
ma'am, but in the first sentence, if we say, ma'am, it's a purely speculative science, and then which
yeah,
occupies a completely isolated position. So like it's something different from our normal sciences, right? So it's
yeah, it's
not
different from
particularly very common, or it
right.
can't be mixed up with the other basis of studies, ma'am. So we can say like to some extent like it is a little bit different from the others. So mankind has chosen to make it different because it like confuses or has something special as
So we
compared
can
to the
say
others.
it is an abstract science, so we don't understand. Okay, now let's look at the other options also. If you look at C, but it has never had and never will have the good fortune to attain a sure scientific method. Now, a sure scientific method it doesn't have. That relates more to its nature, right? So, what is the entire passage talking about? It's talking about the nature of metaphysics, right? What it is. So it says it is a purely speculative science. So, and it is independent of the teachings of experience. And it doesn't have conceptions alive, but it has more of intuition. So can we say that it will not or is not something like a sure scientific method? We can say that, right? Okay, so we don't eliminate C. We have still kept B. Now we look at D, and it would still survive even if all the rest was swallowed up in the abyss of all destroying barbarism. Now that is something of topic. It's not in the scope. So D can be eliminated. Now we come back to B and C. Between B and C, which will be a better.
I'm going to explain the sentence C and understand it C.
Which one?
C, but it had never had and never
Yeah.
will.
So, but it never had and never will have the good fortune to attain the sure scientific method. Means that it is not related to scientific method.
It's talking about metaphysics.
Metaphysics. So
Ma'am,
when
but
we
if
do
we look at
this,
the paragraph, ma'am,
huh,
first of all, ma'am, metaphysics is not something which tries to achieve or tries to be a sure scientific method, as the statement says. And
yeah.
secondly, ma'am, it talks about it never has and never will be. Ma'am, but we are not talking about the future, what it can be, what it like
So
aims to
if you
be.
look at the last sentence that is given to you, it is the oldest of the sciences,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now, if you continue from there, but it has never had and never will have good fortune to attain sure scientific method. Though it is a science, but it is not a pure science. right? So it doesn't
Ma'am,
follow the pure scientific methods.
but then again we are making assumptions, right? That and never will
Yeah.
have the good fortune, with the good
So
fortune.
what is this conclusion drawn from? It is drawn from the nature of metaphysics that has been described. First, it says it is a purely speculative science. Then it goes on to say it is entirely independent of teaching of experience. Now, when we talk about experience, what is science based on? Experience and
Experimentations and
the proven
experiences.
results out of it, right? But metaphysics is speculative science. It's not a pure science. When we talk about pure sciences are based on results that can be proven, right? So we can say that though it is an old science, it's one of the oldest of the sciences, but still it cannot be, we cannot say that it will have the, say, good fortune to attain the sure scientific method. That is something that is related to pure sciences or methodical sciences, right? So according to, if we look at the context, C fits in better than. So if this one, this sentence that it is the oldest of the sciences did not exist, we could have gone with B. But because this sentence is there, C will fit in better than B. Right? Got your answer? So on?
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Got it.
Are you convinced?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, and
Yeah.
14th, ma'am. Master 14th.
14.
Yes, ma'am.
This one. So what is aggression of risk, anybody?
It's application.
Aggregation of risks means? What does aggregation means? Put together.
As a whole, right?
So aggregation of risk you must have learned in commerce somewhere, right? Haven't come across? I'm not a commerce student, but in economics we did come across. Okay. Aggregation of risk means when agency or a company puts in all the smaller individual risks together, especially when you're talking about the insurance sector, they put in all the smaller risks together, which helps them study the risk behavior. That's what aggregation of risk is, right? So aggregation of risk is somewhat quite new to banks in India, right? So maybe there's a question from some time back. So banks were not connected to risk taking or aggregation of risk is new to banks. While some banks have started thinking in that line by trying to put in integrated limits framework and integrated risk policies, and as well as using CPS solutions for technological integration, the effort required is beyond such requirement, right? So if we just simplify this sentence, we can say that the banks have started thinking on the lines of integrating risks and using technology to do that, but the effort required is way beyond they can even think. So risk aggregation would mean aggregating the individual risk measures to decide most appropriate assets class that would contain the risk to the desired level dictated by the risk appetite. So that is quite technical language, but if I understand, it would be that what is risk aggregation? It would require putting together all the individual risks. So what does it do? It helps to decide the measures to decide the appropriate asset class that would be the most at risk or the one that, so if you want to, so the bank wants to insure something or bank is taking money, what does the bank do? It creates assets, right? It invests, but that invest is also subject to risk. Now, if it is investing a huge amount, more the risk, right? So, what is it doing? It is, what is the bank actually going to be doing? It is going to it is going to measure the risk of the asset classes, right? So, desired level dictated by the risk appetite. So, how much risk can it take? So, capital allocation, about how much, would be based on such strategies, and then you have to complete the sentence. Yeah.
Ma'am,
So,
before you read the options, ma'am, can I just ask that um, in these type of questions, ma'am, of para completion, ma'am, can our answer or can the blank, ma'am, can it be same as a sentence which is already given in the para?
shouldn't really be. Can be related, but see the rules that we said in the strategies. It should not be a restatement of whatever is being said.
All right, understood.
It can be an inference, it can be a conclusion, it can be something added to it,
Related
but
to, okay,
not just a restatement. So if it
okay,
is a
understood, ma'am.
restatement, you will eliminate. So if you look at the first blank, what do you think about it? Now we have to complete the sentence. So it has to relate to or fit into the sentence. Capital allocation would be based on such strategies. Most banks are yet to conceptualize the same in their process. Does it complete the sentence? Not really. It doesn't take forward the same.
Based on,
So we spoke about risks. We spoke about capital. Now this talks about capital allocation and what would it be based on. So on what basis would they take to capital allocation? So it should be related to the allocation of risk in some way. So this is the conclusion. We are saying that they talk about application of risk. Why
ma'am,
they do that? Yeah.
ma'am, in our books, in my book at least, ma'am, the blank is before the full stop. So after strategies and before the full stop. So the
Yeah.
options are before the sentence ends. So it's a part of the sentence.
It is a part of the sentence, right?
Yes, no, after strategies.
So most banks are yet to conceptualize the same in their process. What is the same? This doesn't fit in. Okay, what about B? Strategies of something. Now when you're talking about such strategies, now B says most banks have already integrated in their function. Such strategies most banks have already integrated in their function. There should be something which most banks have integrated. So grammar. Now another thing you also have to see whether if it is completion of a sentence, your option should complete the sentence grammatically. Right? Should fit it grammatically. So B does make sense somehow, but not completely. It's not talking about a strategy as such.
Ma'am, in comparison to B, ma'am, wouldn't A be a more appropriate one, ma'am, because it says most banks have already integrated it in their functioning, is working over the years satisfactorily. Ma'am, but we just read in the first statement that aggregation of risk is somewhat quite new to the
New
banks
to
in India.
banks.
So
Yeah,
if it's
it is
new,
new.
then rather the first statement is more appropriate, right? Because they are yet to conceptualize the same in the process as compared to they having already integrated it.
Okay, now if you look at the second sentence, while some banks have started, so can we say they are yet to conceptualize?
Yes, ma'am, we can say most banks are yet to conceptualize because some have only started. So most
Yeah.
haven't integrated. Most are yet to
Now capital
conceptualize because some
allocation
have
would be
not
based on
integrated.
such strategies. Most banks are yet to conceptualize the same in their process. It could be, but it's not very strong conclusion. Let's see what other
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
something else fits in or not. So something better maybe. B says most banks have already integrated in their function. It is working over the years satisfactorily. So from the passage, do we get an idea that this is working satisfactorily for many years?
No,
Not
ma'am,
really,
because we are talking about it's new.
because it's talking about new. So B is not the answer. C says, which would in the long run prove to be growth impending. Now,
Impeding,
growth
right?
impending is a contrast. Yeah? Because we are talking
Impeding,
about
right?
growth impeding, sorry. So we are talking about something that has to be done and why it is to be done. And suddenly we say that would be based on such strategies which in the long run prove to be growth impeding. So we're just talking about the opposite thing. So that's a contrast, we don't go with that. Okay, now we have the strategies of risk application, which is already a new concept to Indian banks. So now we are talking about capital allocation would be based on such strategies of what? Now in the passage we spoke about, the passage spoke about risk taking, what aggregation of risk is and how it is done, right? Now in the end we come to why it is done, capital allocation. So when we are talking about appropriate asset classes and would contain the risk to the desired level dictated by risk appetite. So all this is for what? Investment. Yeah. So we come down to all this is important for capital allocation. Right? So capital allocation depends on risk aggregation. Right? We can say that. That makes sense. So capital allocation about how much would be based on such strategies of risk aggregation, which is already a new concept to Indian banks.
So this
Right?
is what I was saying, ma'am, in the beginning, ma'am, of risk aggregation, which is really a new concept to Indian banks. This is basically
So
repeating the first statement, right? Aggregation of risk is somewhat
it is
quite new to
new.
banks in India.
Right. So we are restating the fact that it is new, but why are we emphasizing on it? Because the main point in this particular sentence is capital allocation. So what is the conclusion? Capital allocation would be based on the strategy of risk application. That is the main thing. And this risk aggregation is a new concept, so it maybe will take time. Now, if we compare to this, if we look at which one?
Option A.
Option B, right?
Ma'am, A.
B, A. So most banks are yet to conceptualize in their process. So that in fact that is just a restatement of the second or the first sentence. Some banks have done it, others haven't. Right?
But the last option,
Most
option
banks
was
are
also
yet to
restatement.
conceptualize. That is a restatement of what I been said earlier. If we look at D, D is adding something to it. So it is giving us what the capital allocation is based on. Right? So if you read the last sentence with D, capital allocation and how much would be based on such uh, strategies of risk aggregation, which is really a new concept in Indian banks. Got it? No? So it is a little complicated, of course, but if we look at the entire conclusion, so this is We are talking now. If you look at the sentence, it is actually a conclusion of what has been said earlier. So facts are given to you. What is risk? What is aggregation of risk? They have said it is a new concept. Some banks have started incorporating it, but it is a big process, lots of effort required. And then it goes on to do that why this risk aggregation is required, right? So it is required to decide appropriate asset classes, and that will be, and it further talks about risk appetite. So why do we need all this? If we are going to allocate capital, we need risk aggregation. So we simplify the whole thing, that's what it comes down to. So none of the other options are actually talking about the requirement of risk aggregation. Got it now? Yes or no? What about the other people? Varshit, Anushree. Okay, Varshit, you said you had done the questions and no doubts came up. You did question number 14 easily?
Yes, ma'am, I did the questions, though few went wrong, but I understood my mistake. I'll just check on this one once.
Already? You did 14?
Yes.
Okay, what are the question? Any other? No? Any doubts?
I also had a doubt on the 11th one, so now that got cleared.
Okay, 18? Any doubt in 18? You've done 18? Anyone did question number 18? Jayani, you've done 18?
Yes, ma'am.
You did? Anyone
Yes,
here did 18? Not done? Okay. Yashub, Shubha? No. You also. Sarvesh, have you done any of the questions? Sarvesh, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you do any of the questions?
No, ma'am.
None of them? You got the book. I've asked everyone to complete the assignment. I will even mention the assignment in the group. Riddhi? Yes, Riddhi, please come in. Riddhi, are you there? Okay, I think anyone who is not there, not responding, Jyoti ma'am has the right to remove you from the session. Anushree,
Yes, ma'am.
how many questions did you do?
I didn't do the 18th one.
How many have you done, I'm asking?
Till 14th, ma'am.
Till 14. So did you have any doubts till 14?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay, so, okay, I just presume that everyone, so whoever hasn't finished till question 20, will please complete. Riddhi, you joined from two
Yeah.
places.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, my mic was disabled, so I wasn't able to unmute myself.
Okay. So I was asking, how many questions have you done?
Ma'am, I'm actually doing it right now. I haven't started.
You haven't done any?
No, ma'am.
Why? Okay, so now whoever hasn't done, please complete till 20 for your homework. And we will do 21 to 30 together in class right now. Okay, before I do the 21 to 40, I want to do I have some examples here. Give them these. We'll do some examples here and then we will move on to the questions. Okay, I hope you are all aware that tomorrow we will be doing 4 hours of work. Huh? Second reading. You are the lazy person, I'm not counting you. Huh? Okay, everyone online, if possible, come to class. Okay, tomorrow, now 4 hours is late, we have to complete the course.
Same time, right?
AKA, no, one will be 3, no, same time. It will be 2:15 to 12:15 to 2:15 usual time, then 2:30 to 4:30. Yeah. So we'll have a 15 minutes break in between. Hopefully I'll be able to give you the break. And tomorrow, bring your module 4. Module 4 you are yet? So tomorrow get your module 4. Anyone who is online and can come to class tomorrow, please do. Okay? So tomorrow we'll be doing para jumpers. तो अच्छे से खाना खा के आना so that your brain works. And get a snack in the middle so you are not sleepy for the next second part of the session. Yeah? So between the 2 sessions we will be completing para jumpers. Okay? Okay, so now okay, everyone online, please let me know if you can see the screen and
Yes, ma'am, we can see the screen.
Yes, ma'am, we can see the screen.
Yes,
and you can see as it changes. You can see the entire question. Okay, everyone do this question. Till I get my equipment. So you can read this online on the screen. On the screen. Solve this question. Yeah, not in the book. So, anyone figure out the answer? Anushri?
Yes, ma'am, I'm good.
Remember, you have to analyze carefully. There will always be two options that can mislead you. Hmm? What's your option? Hmm? B? B? B or D? B. Any other? Yashu, what's your answer?
Ma'am, I would go with B.
B for ball. Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I feel it's B.
B?
B, D.
B. B for donkey.
Yes.
I'd like to go with C.
We like to go with C.
Ma'am, even I'll go with D.
B. Anybody else with C?
Ma'am, C, ma'am.
You chose B. Okay. Chalo, let's see. We've got B, C, D. Three answers. Only A is eliminated. Let's see. Jupal Lahiri's interpreter of Maldives established this young writer as one of the most brilliant of her generation. They say she is now this book, Interpreter of Maldives, Interpreter of Maldives came in as she was established as the most brilliant in her generation. Now, if she is established as most brilliant, that means she should be a good writer, right? So, not being acknowledged, of course, we are. Now, okay, in the namesake, Lahiri enriches the themes that made her collection an international bestseller. Now, the namesake is another book. Yeah, the namesake has already also been converted into a movie, I think. Yeah, so that enriches the themes that made her collection an international bestseller. Her novel, now here it says, her novel, like the stories, deals with the migrant experience, the clash of cultures, conflicts or assimilation, and most practically, the tangled ties between generations. Right? So, specifically, the namesake deals with immigration experiences. Okay? Now, if you look at the options, A we eliminate, obviously, right? Because not acknowledged as a good writer. Her language style and themes are difficult to understand. Now we are saying that she is a brilliant writer,
Ma'am, I would like to
and
give
her
my
novels
answer
are
to
also
B.
quite famous, right? So, as this young writer is one of the most brilliant of her generation, and if she's a brilliant writer and she has written so many novels, would it be that her style and themes are difficult to understand? Not likely, right? So B can be eliminated. Now we have her stories are one of the few debut works to win the Pulitzer Prize of Fiction. Right? So she won the Pulitzer Prize. And D says her stories depict Americans and the American way of life. So now it does talk about immigrant experience. Does it say specifically American way of life? Or is it that all her stories deal with that? Here we are talking about specifically namesake and maybe some other, but from D we get that her main theme is about Americans and American way of life. No, it's talking about immigrants. If it said that immigrant Americans, we could still go for it. But Americans, no. Right? So D can also be eliminated. D is eliminated. So what are we left with? C. So her stories are one of the debut works to win the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction. That can fit. She's a brilliant writer of her generation and Pulitzer Prize fits into that. Yeah? So everyone agrees with C?
Yes, ma'am.
Yasho, Kriti,
Yes,
Parindi?
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Try to get to the answer for this one. So get to the main, so what are the things you have to keep in mind? Get to the main theme. The chronology of events, right? Logical reasoning, and the clues. Based on that, you eliminate what does not fit it. Now here again we have a middle sentence. What does a middle sentence do? Connect. It should connect the dots, so it should connect to the previous or the second part or to both parts. So try to get the answer. Option B. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. B.
Hmm? B or D?
Ma'am, B. Ma'am, B for Bravo. B.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
B.
Currently?
Yes, ma'am. B.
B.
Check
B,
your
ma'am.
comments. B. Hmm? Answer. Still thinking. नीचे क्या दिख रहा था? हाँ? Answer की तरह. Okay, so we can say B is the answer. So what is he talking about? It's talking about traveling alone. And the first part talks about why you should travel alone. Second part talks about how you should travel alone. Right? Plan. Further talks about plan your travel, arrive at daytime, preferably pre-book a cab, and find out the exact bus route, timings for the airport, any place that has a reputation of taking wilderness shuttles should be avoided. So what are all these? These are a list of safety measures, right? So A can be a do not accept fraudulent bookings, that is only a part of it. the moment you are traveling alone, you need to strategize to stay safe and be alert. C can be eliminated. D also can be eliminated. Right. Okay, next question.
B was correct.
B is correct. Okay, this one. So look at the keywords. The bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha and there was strong protest as expected. Now it is expected to have a smooth passage in the Rajya Sabha. So something must have changed, right? Between the introduction in the Lok Sabha and introduction of the Rajya Sabha. So what will be your answer? So we are not expecting protests in the Rajya Sabha. Why?
Ma'am, C.
C. Possibly C. Anybody else? C.
Yes, ma'am. C.
C. Because this is the only option which is talking about something that has changed with the bill. It could take place in the statute books, should take place in the statute books, says should do this. This time it will be introduced in an open session. It will not be introduced in an open session. So, any bill that is introduced, is any bill introduced in a session which is not open? Why is a bill introduced? For voting, right? So it has to be an open session. So that is not.
What was the meaning of statute books?
Statute books, okay. Statute books are the documents which, documents about the rules and regulation or the laws that are being formed. So one is the constitution which has laws, and apart from that, any proceedings, bills passed lead to formation of laws. Those are documented in the statute books. Right? Book release, that is way out of scope. So C is our opening answer. It's a short sentence. So if you look at the options, there's something to do with the usage of words or grammar. B. It's counting elements.
Ma'am, D.
D.
Ma'am, B. Bravo, B.
So although it has been more than 50 years since Satyajit Ray made Fateh Kachali, Dash refused to go away from the mind. What refused? Now refused to go away, we know we are looking at something plural. So all of them are plural, images. What type of images? It's haunting images, the haunting images. Now the haunting images becomes a little more generalized, right? It's haunting images, Fateh Kachali's haunting images. Would be good. Okay, let's look at this one.
Ma'am, I think C.
A,
C.
C. Anybody else? Think a little faster.
Yes, ma'am. C.
C. What about you people? Fish. What? You think it's?
I don't know, but I don't think it's C.
You don't think it's C. So what do you think should be the answer? Read the sentence carefully. C. Aaron? C. C fits in. Now go by the process of elimination. What doesn't fit in? Eliminate what doesn't fit in. Right? So it says Lal Bahadur Shastri was greatly influenced by his philosophy teacher. Right? When he was in Kashi Vidyapit. So first we see that he was in Kashi Vidyapit. Yeah? Influenced by philosophy teacher. And here too, he gave finishing touches to his life-changing philosophy. So here too, he gave the finishing touches to his life philosophy. Means in the blank we need to have something else he did. Yeah, he did this and he did this. So what else did he do? Now, one should not run after power or office but work quietly without detachment, expecting rewards. There is a general statement, we don't even know if it is related to him. Right? Eliminate. His honesty and integrity were very strong. Okay, it's saying something about him, but is it something he did? No.
But by the way, that's something that he did.
Because if you look at the context, next sentence, and here too, he gave finishing touches to his life-changing philosophy. So he also gave finishing touches to his life philosophy.
But if you look at option B, his honesty and integrity were very strong. So that also means that he has done something which proves
Has he done integrity? That is his character. Does it tell us about what he did? So when you read a passage, all the sentences should be in a logical order. Right? So he was influenced by his philosophy teacher. Now B talks about him as a person. Now if you come to C, it is here that he got the degree Shastri in philosophy. Yeah? So he got the degree. That's something he did. Right? More or less. This he learned from his teacher Bhagwan Das. What did he learn? No reference before that. So C is the only option. And it does fit. Right? Okay, now let's look at this question. It's a rather big passage. You want me to read it for you? Or try to get it?
B. Second option.
Anybody else?
Yes, ma'am. B.
Hmm? Everyone agrees with me? Hmm? So here, even if we don't read the entire passage, we can still get to our answer. We read the first sentence. So it says Herodotus wrote about the building of pyramids and claimed that the Great Pyramid took tens of thousands of men and 20 years to make. And the sentence after that says Egyptians hadn't learned to use the wheel or the pulley, so lifted all stones. So Egyptians believed in many gods and gods. We are talking about the construction of the pyramids. Before, after, both are about construction of pyramids. So gods doesn't come into the picture. B says, however, even if those figures are accurate, are not accurate. So figures direct reference to the tens of thousands of men and 20 years. The construction of the pyramids was an amazing achievement. Next sentence, they hadn't learned the use of wheels or pulleys, so it was an achievement. So that clearly goes in. Now each of the gods, again comes to the gods, lived in their own roles. Dry air and living desert have preserved because all of these are outer scope. So B is the only answer. But easy this one. Okay. One more.
Ma'am. A.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
A.
what connected? The armistice was signed, and then it says, for example, the states of Bosphorus. So those were the terms of the treaty, examples of the term of the treaty. So England was no longer huge in power, no one is happy, that is not the case. Istanbul was a capital city. England doesn't come into the picture anymore. Okay, now quickly with this one. Okay, right? Why this happened? What happened? They died. So even if you don't read everything else, most accepted one. So what is the one? The theory. Right? Everyone got this one? So, Harini, Anushree,
Yes, ma'am. Got it.
Got
who
it,
else
ma'am.
is there? There are more people online than in classroom. Yashu, I hope you are following. Yashu, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm here, ma'am. I am following, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, now this one.
C.
See, okay. Anybody else? Hmm? C? Everyone think it's C? Think again. Think again. So what is the reference here? So if you just summarize the passage, what is it talking about? Look at the underlined parts. So first it talks about global headwinds remain uncertain. Growth in government spending is lower than last year and private investment is absent. Right? 2 points we get. So we are all talking about something not going good. While government has rigorously and the GDP numbers are also low. Now, while the government has rigorously underlined in reform achievements of the last 3 years, such as goods tax and service tax, the goods and service tax that goes up in July, mission mode reforms reboot is urgently needed, and that can only begin if the problem is suitably acknowledged by policymakers. So we have a problem at hand, and we have to reboot. Reboot means get back to the previous growth. Because here we are saying that GDP numbers are low, government spending is lower, private investment is absent, reforms are required. So now if we look at C, the only reason the 7.1 estimate has held up is because growth of the previous quarter was revised upwards. Are we talking about
Ma'am,
growth
should it be
revised
B?
upwards? B?
B, yes, ma'am. Return it to the 8% growth mark.
So anyone who has chosen C, do you see why it is wrong? Hmm? So only reasons 7 point, we are talking about rebooting to a previous growth rate, right? So C cannot be an answer. Now A, why did we eliminate A? While low inflation growth rate may soften the RBI's outlook, there's little that monetary policy can do. So monetary policy can do, and then we are talking about we need to do something. It's in contrast, right? Cannot be an answer. B, returning to 8% growth mark is going to be a big challenge. And then it is about what needs to be done. Right? Rebooting, returning to the growth, that is what we do. And C, private investment grew at a slowest pace in 5 quarters, even as construction and manufacturing dipped sharply. That may be a continuation, but doesn't connect to the next sentence. Right? C or B connects best to both parts before that. Okay? One more question.
B.
Ma'am, B.
Because we are talking about the size, right? So obviously, so this is a very easy one. Let's look at this one. What do you do? Hmm?
Ma'am, B.
B.
B or B?
B.
B for
Ma'am, B.
The second option.
second option. Okay, we have between outside B. What about the other people? Everyone else is quiet. Varshit? Varshit, Anushree, I want your answers.
B, ma'am.
Huh?
B, B.
B?
I feel it will be D.
Now, what is it talking about? It's talking about Atlantis is an island. Greek philosopher Plato, who said it was engulfed by the ocean as a result of the earthquake 9,000
Ma'am, I feel it's
years.
D, ma'am. I want to change. I think it's D. D
He
for Delta.
9 years before his own time, and then we have they also added that Plato made up the story, right? Who added? That should be in the sentence, right? So now Plato described as I think that is eliminated. Plato's accounts are in his works and Critias and Timaeus and Critias, and these philosophical writers are the earliest known references to Atlantis. So this is talking about Plato's accounts. So Plato would say that Plato made up the story? No, right? So B is not an answer. We are looking for who thinks that Plato made up the story. The legend is, now this is talking about the legends now. While there are many hypotheses, vast majority of scientists conclude that Atlantis never existed. They thought that he made up the story. Right? So B is your answer. Got it? So you have to look for your clues. Anyone who thought it was B didn't even think about what they and made up the story. The clue is made up the story. Who thought that Plato made up the story? Okay, next one. Okay, quick with this one. Short one.
Ma'am, D.
D.
B.
D.
Ma'am, fourth option. D.
Hmm. So what are we looking for? The common cause is an undersea earthquake. Cause of what? Right? So there should be something related to the cause before that. So tsunami, what tsunami is we are not looking for, A is eliminated. The term tsunami comes from Japanese language, not required. Tsunami can travel hundreds of miles, not required. Tsunami can be generated by what? That is your answer. Easy one? Yes. Okay, let's look at this one. A. what is it talking about? We have to connect the ideas, right?
Ma'am, C.
C.
Yes. See, any other answer? See? Hmm? So what's the first part talking about? Harini, can you explain the answer?
Yes, ma'am. This paragraph talks about the response systems. So their limited efficacy in rural areas. And after the blank, we're talking about capacity building to handle catastrophic weather events. So option C fits in correctly because that also talks about the cycle of floods, which needs rescue and causes havoc.
So the capacity building to handle is poor. Now C says what stands out in the annual cycle of floods is generally the tardy pace of preparation. So the inefficiency or the slow pace of preparation. So something that is not taken seriously or not efficient. So that is the answer. In the other options, A talks about the problem. We are not talking about the physical problem. We are talking about what is being done. Integrated approach to managing floods requires sound understanding. That's not the problem we are talking about. What stand out is the tardy pace. Yes, India's vulnerability, that is a general statement which doesn't apply. Right? So, a couple of more. We haven't done this one here. No? So we are talking about the tax to GDP ratio is lower, public spending to GDP ratio is also lowest, and then
A.
it comes to
Ma'am, A.
80% of the economy is outside the tax line, right? A is related, the country cannot scale up necessary infrastructure and social spending without widening its tax base. But 85% of the people of the economy is outside the tax base, so it doesn't come under the tax base. So we need to widen the tax base. Could be an answer. Okay, B can be eliminated. Yes. Government promised to adopt non-intrusive measures to widen. Now we are not talking about the methods. We are talking about what needs to be done. As a target, a rough or an ambitious goal, we're talking about a reason or what needs to be done. So A is the only answer, not fear, violence, panic. We're not talking about panic. Okay, question number 10.
B.
Yes, ma'am, B.
D or B?
Second option.
Second option. Anybody else? What about people here? B? Hello? Explain your answer.
So, ma'am, so,
Huh? What is it talking about?
it's about the pure remaining
Huh?
subject with remarks and
You're not clear of this.
this is how may I explain now?
Which answer do you go with?
I go to B.
You go with B. So explain then.
That's what I'm saying. Let me take my answer and I
यहाँ देख के बोलो ना. हाँ. So it's talking about incremental spending. Where should it go? Right? So incremental spending focus should shift to construction sector. Even if a lower share in GDP employs more workers than manufacturing, right? So we have to have a reason why this should be done. So what's giving us the reason? So labor force is largely unskilled. That is not a reason why we should invest more. Higher allocation and steps to boost the sector are needed as it is likely to absorb labor after agriculture. So it has more labor than manufacturing. That's why we need to invest here. These are key characteristics of the labor force out of scope. Measures will make good economic and political sense. That is not the reason. So, B is your advice. Whenever you get to an answer, remember, just thinking that this may be the right answer is risky. You have your reasoning there. Okay? Okay, so these were 10 questions that I had put in extra. These will be taken. Now, okay, these other questions that are there in the PPT, you will do for homework, right? Okay, now getting back to your books. Was it any? We still have 5:30 today. So we get to the questions here.
Ma'am, homework is all of those other questions or in specific? Excuse me, ma'am.
Just a second. Yes. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this practice exercise 2. You have questions 11 to 15. 15 is good. Okay, in fact, I think we should do question 15 right now. This was an Indore 2019 question. Huh? Okay. Let's see. So the first introductory sentence is missing. You can read the rest and try to figure out the answer. You have to look
Oh,
for the
ma'am, A.
clues.
Ma'am, A.
Is it A?
Yeah, A is the answer. Because what is it talking about? Infrastructure in the form of base services, disrupts water absorption. So, and causes flooding. So, what are the reasons for flooding? Climate change is a cause for flooding. Now, which of the options would be misleading? Any other option you are thinking about? A is clear. Mostly students confuse between C and A. Now, why we will not go with C? Because it's only talking about infrastructure. So in the introduction, we don't need to talk about infrastructure. We need to talk about causes of flooding. So now, nothing goes. So if you've got your books, page 90, we can do question 21 onwards. We can do at least a few of them. So ideally in these questions, you have to increase your speed of thinking. How much time will you get for these questions? Huh? How many minutes? No, 1 minute. You should be able to do it in 1 minute per question. Right? So the focus has to be there. Okay, so get to question number 21 and see if you can do it in 1 minute.
C.
See, shall I go back?
Ma'am, the screen has not changed.
1 minute. I'm just getting to the question. You can see the screen now? Yeah, the answer is C. Right? Because the post was closely fought. Now your clue comes from where? Where did your clue come from? Remember, we are always looking for clues. Huh? Huh? What hurt India? But now we have a but over here. Now he was fighting for the post, but so the contrast, what India the most was not something. So what did not hurt the most? That he was nominated against the Abdos. And if you read the next part of it, that is what hurt. Right? So, see, losing, so it did not hurt losing, but what hurt was that the two leaders, neither of whom bowed out in India's favor. Right? That is what was worse. And something that was even worse was Sri Lankan candidate actually endorsed South Korea's battery. question. Do it from your book or from the screen, whatever you prefer.
D.
D. Okay, everybody else, please pick up speed. Varshit, I'm not hearing answers from you. क्या हुआ? Yeah, sure.
Ma'am, give me a minute. Ma'am, I think it should be B, ma'am.
Yeah, number 22, D. Why D? Can you explain your answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh? What's your answer?
I think B.
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 Okay, read carefully before you get to your answer.
Ma'am, I'll go with D. Option D.
You go with D. B or D?
D for dog.
D for dog, okay. Anybody else with a different answer? Part you are going with B. Okay, D for beta.
But I am still not very sure. But I don't think A or C or D makes sense.
AC is relevant. Okay, what is it talking about? In his perceptive reading of Mahatma Gandhi's psychological revolution, the psychoanalyst Eric Erickson wrote in 1969 that Gandhi's experiences during the mill worker strike in Ahmedabad in 1988 was the event dash was formed. So, what was formed because of this event, right? It was during this period of prolonged agitation, Gandhi began to think of Satyagraha as a political actualism of drama. Now, if you look at the options, A says, thereby forming a series of events. Was the event thereby forming a series of events? Doesn't make sense, right? Was an event long struggle, a long period of struggle? A lot for Israel? No, doesn't make sense. Was the event strategy now became a second stronghold? Doesn't fit it. Was the event around which a gestalt or wholesomeness of worldview was formed? That fits it. So even if you look at it grammatically, A, B and C can be eliminated.
What's the meaning of
Gestalt. Gestalt means, you can say a congregation or something put together out of the whole, which is like an organized entity. It's usually a German word, right? And if we look at the rest of it, a wholesomeness of worldview. So everything put together which is organized, right? Okay. 23.
Ma'am, C.
C.
C. Yes.
This is C. Okay, you have your books, keep doing. Okay, do 23 and 24 together, we'll come to the answer. See how fast you can do it.
Ma'am, it should be C.
See? Yeah. Because even if you look at the sentence continuation, you go say hello doctor. Means you are going to the doctor. So C is the only, and it is also talking about like same old song. If you look at the sentence earlier, but not one fellow has new ideas, same old song with new dance, same old film with new hero, right? So that gives a continuation. The 24 answer,
Ma'am,
B.
B.
huh?
B,
B.
ma'am.
B, ma'am. B,
Second
second
option.
option. Bravo.
Yeah, it is B. Why B? So it's talking about July inflation rate was 9.22%. There is the need for changing strategy. For more than 2 years now, food inflation has been at something. So it's talking about some rate. Yeah. Uncomfortably or intolerably high levels of 8% or more. Now we have to now could we go with a very good and reasonable rate of 8% or more? No. What are we talking about? We are talking about inflation being high. So we have a negative flow. Eliminate anything that is possible. So yes, B is the answer. 25, has anyone done?
D. Delta. D.
Anybody else?
Yes, ma'am. D.
25. So here also, here we are talking about more salaries, companies showing interest in campus hiring. So we have a positive note. So anything which is neutral or negative can be eliminated, right? So do you even have to read the entire thing over here? No. First sentence gives you the answer, right? Okay, 26. So we can do that in less than a minute, right?
C.
Okay, 26. C.
C.
Anybody else? Yes, it's C. Union government has stepped in to reduce homework, and then it goes on to say that they don't have a specific direction, but Telangana has done something about it, so they want you to follow the Telangana model. So which has the Telangana model has something specific. Okay, 27.
C.
B.
No, B.
B, C,
Ma'am, B.
Ma'am, B.
Second
B.
option.
A, C, and D are like this.
Okay, we are talking about the cyclone Gaza, right? And it says the economic impact was comparable to that of the tsunami. Devastation was so that tens of thousands of people were suffered, going well beyond the annual storm season losses, right? Then the next sentence is that the state heaved a sigh of relief since the death toll was relatively low. But in the beginning, we are saying there was devastation. So the death toll would have been low only in the beginning, right? Not towards the end. So in the initial days up to November 16, that's the answer. So we are not talking about deep, terrible devastation. Okay, 28. We can finish till
Ma'am,
30.
B,
B.
ma'am.
Hmm?
Second option.
Second option.
Anybody? Okay, what about you people are not doing? बुक में है ना पढ़ो
No, I didn't understood.
finished
Didn't understood the question.
read from your book focus okay complete till 30 quickly
Repeat.
30 3 minutes to complete till 30 Done? I want you to be fast. And more 1 minute, one question. You're looking at you don't have a book? चार्ज में नहीं लगा यहाँ देखो
A.
instead of asking each other, focus on your work. Art is concerned about everybody else. So, get the answers. Okay, 27, everyone done? Answer? No to over 28 B. What are we looking for? We are looking for problems. Right? 29
A.
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 It's talking about 3 policy questions. So, current solution also shows on social transformation. B is vague, C and D don't forget. 30.
B.
B.
Who said A? Huh? You said A. Look at the question. What comes after the blank? It says these data sets, right? So if it is these data sets should have been mentioned in the previous sentence. And B is the only one that mentions data sets. So these questions can be tackled in 1 minute. What do you need? Practice. Right? So before you come to class tomorrow, I won't give you too much of homework. You will do the 5 questions and revise the questions you have done. Why? Why revise the questions? Go back to the reasoning.
Ma'am, could you repeat what you just said? Ma'am, your voice was breaking.
Huh? Repeat, excuse me.
Ma'am, what did you just say? Could you please repeat?
You have to do the questions in the PPT, 5 questions.
Okay. Okay.
Right? And if you can do the first 5 questions of the next chapter set. Right? And if you want to do more, you're welcome to do that. The 10 questions रखते हैं, how much you can do. Okay? 10 questions.
Ma'am, the PPT is there on the group or you'll share it?
No, I'll share the PPT.
Alright.
Yeah, I'll share the PPT. So you can do the questions from the PPT and say you can try the first 10 questions of the next set. That is set 2. Page number 96. 96, 97, 10 questions. So these are very easy. Short ones should be easy. Not the long ones that we did. Okay? So we'll meet tomorrow. So tomorrow come prepared with active base. Because
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
want sleeping as a class. Okay, so anyone online planning to come to the classroom tomorrow? Yashok, Varshit,
Uh,
anyone? So on?
Yeah, about that.
Try to come to
not
the classroom.
exactly.
Not exactly, you're not in town.
Ma'am, I am in town, ma'am, but it won't be plausible for me to come, honestly.
Okay. Anyway, make sure you attend the class. Nobody is going to miss. Because we'll do color jumbles tomorrow, which is very, very important. And if you miss tomorrow, then we'll be doing only during revision. ठीक है? हाँ?
Last question.
Yes, please. Okay? And 11th वालों को then next year. So at least if you do it, you know. So it's just an extension of the para completion. So we'll see you tomorrow then. Okay? Thank you.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good
Thank
day.
you, ma'am. Good day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Master.
Thank you.